Good morning, my dear students. Welcome back to social class. So we are seeing about 10th lesson. That means the last lesson of history. So already few topics completed. Today we are going to see about a few topics in this class. The first topic is Vijay Narayana Sastri, so otherwise called Parithimar Kalaignar. So Vijay Narayana Sastri, he was born in 1870 and he was died on 1903. So he was born near Madurai and he was a professor of Tamil and he was worked at Madras Christian College. He was one of the earliest scholar, that is a forerunner scholar, to identify the Tamil influence, that is a Sanskrit influence on Tamil, and adopted a pure Tamil name for himself as a Parithimar Kalaignar. That means his name consists of Sanskrit influence. So he renamed, otherwise he changed himself his name as a Parithimar Kalaignar. So he got the name as Parithimar Kalaignar. He was the first to argue, advocated that Tamil is a classical language and demanded that the University of Madras should not call Tamil a vernacular, that is a regional language. He asked to the University of Madras, so Tamil is not a vernacular regional language, so in after we will call as a Tamil as classical language. He argued to the Madras University. So after that, so influenced that is followed by the Western literary model, that is English literary models. He introduced the sonnet form in Tamil also. So sonnet means it consists of 14 lines. Already we know that. So same like that 14 lines he can introduce it in the Tamil language also. So he also wrote a lot of novels in Tamil and a lot of plays in Tamil and wrote a number of essays on science also. So even though he is a Tamil teacher, he wrote a lot of essays on science language. So tragically said that means very sadly we say that he was died at the young age of 33. So that is about Parithimar Kalaignar. Next we move on to Maraimalai Adigal. So Maraimalai Adigal, he was born in 1876 and he was died in 1950. He was considered the father of Tamil linguistic purism, that is a language purism, and he was the founder of Tani Tamil Iyakam, that is a pure Tamil movement. He wrote a lot of commentaries, that is an explanation form on the Sangam text, like Pattinapalai and Mullaipattu. As a young man, Maraimalai Adigal, he worked in a journal, that is a newspaper, Siddhanta Deepika. So after that later, he served as a Tamil teacher. He also worked as a Tamil teacher in the Madras Christian College for many years. So he was inclined, that is a supporter towards a non-Brahmin movement. As a Tamil teacher, he supported the non-Brahmin movement also. So his teachers such as P. Sundarana and Soma Nayagar were key influence, that is a role model in his life. Next, we will see about Tani Tamil Iyakam. It was started by, already we learned that, Maraimalai Adigal. So otherwise it is called pure Tamil movement. So Maraimalai Adigal promoted, otherwise developed the use of pure Tamil words and the removal of Sanskrit influence from the Tamil language. That means he advocated, otherwise promoted, otherwise developed Tamil words, and he identified the Sanskrit influence on Tamil language. He wanted to remove all the Sanskrit influence. So instead of that, we have to use Tamil words. That is the main aim of Maraimalai Adigal. So only he started the Tani Tamil Iyakam, that is a movement. The movement made a great impact, great outcome of Tamil culture, especially in language and literature. So Maraimalai Adigal's daughter, that is a Neelambikai, so played an important role in his foundation. So who played the important role in the starting of Tani Tamil Iyakam is Maraimalai Adigal's daughter, that is a Neelambikai. So he changed his own name, Vedachalam, and took on the pure Tamil name of Maraimalai Adigal. So Maraimalai Adigal's original name was Vedachalam. So it consists of Sanskrit influence. So he changed his name Vedachalam as a Maraimalai Adigal. So his journals, his newspapers, Sagaram was renamed as Arivukadal, and his institution also renamed as Samarasa Sanmarka Sangam was rechristened, that is renamed as Podunilai Kalagam. So Neelambikai, that is the daughter of Maramala Adigal, so introduced the dictionary, that is a compiled dictionary that provided a pure Tamil equivalent words to Sanskrit words. So Sanskrit words equivalent Tamil words he introduced in the dictionary, and slowly, that is a creep, move slowly into Tamil vocabulary. So that is about a Tani Tamil Iyakam. Let me move to a rise of the Dravidian movement. How the Dravidian movement was raised. Let me see. The Dravidian movement established, otherwise emerged as a defense, that is a protection of the non-Brahmins against the Brahmin dominance. Dominance means domination. From the Brahmin domination, to give the protection for non-Brahmins, so this movement was started. Dravidian movement was started. An organization called the Madras Non-Brahmin Association. It was called Madras Non-Brahmin Association. It was founded in 1909 to help non-Brahmin students. For helping of a non-Brahmin student, the Madras Non-Brahmin Association was founded in 1909. So in 1912, C. Nadesna, a medical doctor, he was a doctor, founded the Madras United League was started by Nadesna. Later, it was also renamed. So it was renamed as Madras Dravidian Association. So this association supported Dravidian uplift to improve the lifestyle of Dravidian people. The Dravidian Association was supported. The organization focused on educating and supporting non-Brahmin graduates and conducting regular meetings to share their grievances. That means what are the drawbacks that was faced by the non-Brahmin graduates, otherwise non-Brahmin students, non-Brahmin people. So it was regularly talked in the meetings. So meanwhile, at the same time, Nadesna founded a hostel also, that is called Dravidian Home, in where means Triplican in Madras, in which year means July 1916, to address the lack of hostels for the non-Brahmin students. After that, lack of hostels was started for non-Brahmin students in Madras, which he endured. That means it created great difficulties in their educational development. So the students, those who are lacking educational support, these hostels, otherwise this movement supported for the educational purpose, otherwise a living purpose for the Dravidian people, otherwise depressed classes. In addition, the home had a literary society also. So in the hostel, they consist of a literary society for the benefit of non-Brahmin students. Next, we move on to South Indian Liberal Federation. It is rightly called Justice Party. So on 20 November 1916, around 30 important non-Brahmin leaders, that is a prominent means important non-Brahmin leaders, including Dr. C. Nadesna, they were the important person, Sir P.T. Tyagaraya, T.M. Noyer and Alamelu Mangai Dayarammal came together to form the South Indian Liberation Federation, that is a SILF. In the same time, that is a meantime, at a meeting held in the Victoria Public Hall, the non-Brahmin manifesto, that is a principles, was released, that is a published in December 1916. The principle, that is a manifesto, articulated, sentenced the voice of the non-Brahmin communities. So why the manifesto was introduced means the manifesto consists of all the non-Brahmin communities facing difficulties. It consists in that manifesto. It was introduced in that meeting December 1916. The association started publishing 3 newspapers also. So one is Dravidian in Tamil language, Justice in English language, and Andhra Prakashaka in Telugu. to propagate the ideals of the party, to publish the principles, otherwise ideas of the party in the three newspapers about the Justice Party. So after that, it was standing the election. If we see the first election under the Montagu Summersport reform, already we learned in the previous classes, those previous lessons, was held in 1920. So according to the Montagu Summersport reform, the diarrhea was introduced. The diarrhea government was introduced in the Indian provinces. There is a two government. The Justice Party won the election in 1920. The Justice Party won the election and formed the first ever Indian cabinet in the Madras. Cabinet means there is a ministry in Madras. The first Justice Party conducted the ministry in Madras. After that, A. Subbarayulu, he was the first chief minister in the Justice Party, became the chief minister of the Madras presidency, and the party formed the government during 1920-23, the Justice government in the Madras presidency, as well as in 1923-26. In the election also the Justice Party won in the election and formed the cabinet, that is the ministry in Madras presidency. In the context of Congress Party, in the opposite of Congress Party, so Congress Party was boycotting the legislator. So even though the Justice Party continued to remain in the office, that means continued as a government till 1937 elections were held. So that means in 19 up to 1937 elections, the Justice Party ruled over the Madras presidency. So what happened means in the 1937 election, the Indian National Congress, there is a Congress Party participated in the election. There is a contestant in the election for the first time and trounced the Justice Party. That is a tragically, that is a heavily, it faced a lot of difficulties. After that, the Justice Party was not over in the Tamil Nadu, that means Madras presidency. After that, this Justice Party went to the hands of Periyar. That we will study in the later topics. Next, what are the programs and activities done by the Justice Party? Let me see. The Justice Party is the fountainhead, that is a foundation head of the non-Brahmin movement. Already we know that in the country. The Justice Party government have wide and elaborated education and employment opportunities, particularly for the depressed classes, for the majority of population, and created the space, that is a place for them in the political sphere. That means that the Justice Party gave a lot of opportunities for non-Brahmin students, both in education and employment opportunities, as well as it gave a lot of place in the political spheres. Next, the justice, there is a Justice Party removed the legal, there is a law hindrance obstacles restricting intercaste marriage. So what are the hindrance, what are the hindrance law in the intercaste marriage? It was absolutely destroyed by the Justice Party and broke the barriers that prevented the depressed classes from the use of public wells and tanks. So after that, the Justice Party introduced, otherwise constructed a lot of wells and tanks for the non-Brahmins. The Justice Party government ordered that public schools accommodate the children of the depressed class. That means the Justice Party gave order to the public schools to join a lot of depressed classes. Lot of depressed classes should join in the schools. It was gave order to by the Justice Party. So after that, hostels were established for the students, which students means there is a depressed classes belonging to this social group, which is social group means a depressed class, otherwise non-Brahmins. In 1923, so hostels was established in Madras presidency. In the same time, there is a meantime, the Madras legislature under the Justice Party government was the first to approve participation of women in the electoral politics in 1921. So Justice Party government is the first government to give more opportunities to the non-Brahmin women to participate in the election, otherwise to conduct in the election. So this resolution created space for women and thus facilitated Muthulakshmi Ammayar to become the first woman legislator in India in 1926. So according to that resolution, so Muthulakshmi Ammayar became the first woman in India, become the legislator in India in 1926. So the Justice Party, what are the work done by the Justice Party? Let me see. The Justice Party worked towards legislating, that is, making law provinces in Madras provinces for communal representation. That means to give more opportunities for all communities. That for the act was introduced, the law was introduced by the Justice Party. That is, the reservations was introduced for various communities also. Two communal government orders, GO passed on 16 September 1921. Another one GO is passed on 15th August 1922. That is the reservations for all communities were passed to ensure equitable distribution, that is a equal distribution in appointments among various castes and communities as the part of achieving social justice. To ensure social justice, the two government orders was introduced by the Justice Party. So any caste people, any community people, to give the equal chance in the appointment of a government orders. For that they introduced the government orders, that is the communal representations orders. The Justice Party rule established the staff selection board in 1924. Justice Party introduced the staff selection board for the selection of government officials and encouraged all the communities to share the administrative powers. To share the administrative powers, the staff selection board was introduced. For what purpose it was introduced means to select the officials, that means government offices like TNPC, TNPSC. So it was renamed as a TNPSC. Before it is called a staff selection board. So followed by the staff selection board in 1929, the government of British also introduced the pattern called Public Service Commission. Now it is called as a TNPSC, Tamil Nadu Public Service Commission. So it was adopted from where means staff selection board. So this Public Service Commission was introduced in which year means 1929. So following by which board means staff selection board. Next at last, the Justice Party further concentrated, again it was concentrated on reform in religious institution. Before it is concentrated on education purpose and appointment of post government officers. Now it is concentrated on religion. The Justice Party introduced the Hindu Religious Endowment HRE Act in 1926. One of the act was introduced. So what are the things said in this act? Let me see. And enabled any individual, any single person, irrespective of their caste, any caste, whether you become a Brahmin, otherwise non-Brahmin, affiliation, to become a member of the temple committee. So any caste people, they become the member in temple committee. So before the Justice Party rule, so only the Brahmins become the member in temple committee. So according to HRE Act 1926, so any individual, any caste people, they become the member in temple committee and govern, that means rule the resources of the religious institutions. So resources in, that is a temple land, otherwise temple resources. It was rule over by any community people, otherwise any religious peoples. So that's about today's topic, students. I think all could understood about the today topics. So thank you very much.